Hi, you're listening to Childless and Moving Onward. This is the place where we talk about thriving in life when you're a woman who is childless, not by choice, regardless of the road that brought you to childlessness. Welcome to episode 31 of Childless and Moving Onward. I'm Gail Miller, a life coach, speaker, and physician, and your host of the podcast where we tackle the challenges of living life as a woman who is childless not by choice and living that life in a pronatalist world, a world that expects us to be moms and very often thinks less of us and treats us that way when we're not. I try to do this with adding in a dash of humor here and there, because this is a heavy subject and some relief is needed. At least I do. I need that relief. So it's not meant as disrespect. It's meant to help me and others who use some humor as a way to navigate this world and navigate this life that we didn't expect. Today, I'm diving into the world of at least statements. You know, those well-meaning, maybe, mostly, well-meaning but oh so misguided attempts at comfort that make you want to perfect your fake smile. Or if you're like me, you don't want to fake that smile. It feels like someone's scratching their nails on a chalkboard. And sometimes the thoughts in my head, even unintentionally, will come out on my face. I'm sure there's many others like that. If you were thinking there was more to that sentence describing the topic, there really isn't. Much like my family tree, it's shorter than what I had wanted it to be. So what do I mean with the at least as the topic? So let's play a little game called At Least Bingo. And I'll give you some examples. And then you can mark them off if you've heard them and see if you get to finish that line on the bingo card. So how about someone after a pregnancy loss being told, at least you know you can get pregnant? Oh, because that's completely comforting, right? When you've lost a pregnancy. Then there's the things said to single, childless women. At least you don't have the pain of knowing you can't give your husband a child. Oh, joy! Now I have two things to feel great about. Or how about just in general to someone who's childless not by choice? Well, at least you have a job you enjoy. Because yes, career fulfillment and offspring are totally interchangeable, right? And here's one of my personal favorites. Really, not a favorite. To someone who had a hysterectomy after a brutal assault, at least you didn't have to go through infertility treatments. I mean, seriously? Or how about to someone who had a hysterectomy after dealing with the pain of endometriosis? Oh, but at least you didn't have to deal with pregnancy loss. What about the woman whose partner changed their minds and no longer wanted children after they got married? The pain and trauma that was experienced in that relationship is real. But you're told, well, at least you didn't have to deal with infertility. And then there's the woman who's got a chronic illness and pregnancy wouldn't have been safe, or she wouldn't have been able to care for the child after giving birth. The pain of that is real. But those at least statements come out and, they're supposed to comfort you, and they do anything but. And those are just a few examples. Now, these at least bombs aren't just dropped by those who are fertile. Unfortunately, We in the childless community have become experts, like friendly fire marksmen with each other. It's like we're competing in the oppression Olympics, and at least is our go-to not so secret weapon. The at least isn't just told to us by people who are not childless, but it's actually done to each other within the childless community. Now, it's not just to and from people who are childless. I mean, there's a world of situations where others will comfort them with, well, at least, and whatever follows. So, for instance, and these all of the examples I've given and I'm about to give are real life examples. Someone who had major surgery and a long, difficult recovery and was told by someone, at least you didn't need another surgery. Oh, that makes all of the pain and trauma of going through the recovery they went through, makes it all go away. A friend of mine whose parent had just passed was told by someone else, well, at least your parent lived through your adulthood. Yes, their grieving was completely gone thinking about that. So why are these at least statements a problem? First, if any of you have been on the receiving end of these examples, or any other time you've been in pain about something, whether it's about being childless or something else, if you've ever been told at least about a painful situation to you, how did you feel? Think about it. Think about how you would feel if any of these things or anything like them was said to you. Or go back and remember how you felt if those things have been said to you. Now, I do think most people mean well. They're probably thinking, oh, just sprinkle some positivity on it and it'll be fine, right? Just be positive. Positivity isn't fairy dust, and we're not Tinkerbell. And if you don't know already, I am very anti-toxic positivity, and that's what this is. Using at least is like trying to fix a leaky roof with a Band-Aid, right? Telling someone who has just lost their parent, their beloved parent, well, at least you had them into adulthood. Yeah, that's really not going to take away their grief or their pain. It only makes it worse, really. It doesn't solve the problem. It just makes a mess, and it leaves everybody feeling uncomfortable. Now, you may be asking still, why is it a problem? Okay, so imagine a simpler situation, if you will, a more basic or straightforward situation that you've just stubbed your toe and someone says, at least you didn't break your leg. Gee, thanks. Now my toe feels so much better. The throbbing is gone. Now that I'm thinking of an even worse scenario, that it's no longer throbbing. So is that situation or something that's similar to it, is that familiar to anyone? So at least is a disaster when it comes to trying to comfort or support someone else. And here's why. At least minimizes and trivializes the person's pain and suffering. It implies their situation could be worse. And what that does is it fails to acknowledge the full extent of their current pain. When someone is in pain, they need support and understanding. They need their feelings validated. Saying at least makes the person who's in pain feel like their emotions aren't justified, or their pain and their situation aren't important. They don't matter. Saying at least takes the attention from the person's immediate personal painful experience to a worse scenario that's usually hypothetical. And what results is that person experiencing this is left feeling misunderstood, or they feel dismissed. At least is almost always followed by a comparison to a worse situation. Comparison is rarely helpful. Worse is that it can make the person feel guilty about feeling their own pain. It leaves them feeling as if they don't have the right to feel badly because others may have it worse, or because they could have had it worse. So here's a news flash. Pain is pain. It's not less, it's not more. Each person's pain and situation is different. To the person experiencing the pain, it is real. And no one should ever make them feel badly, even inadvertently, for having a human experience. Using at least creates a barrier to genuine empathy. I mean, if you're using at least, there's a little bit of disconnect there from the empathy. Because instead of truly listening, instead of connecting with the person's experience and giving them support, you're looking at the at least could be worse. And that is not empathetic. And it shows. Again, it may be said with good intentions, but someone saying at least isn't showing empathy. They're showing a lack of understanding that pain is pain. Not less, not more, just different situations for each of us. Now, for some, when they're saying the at least, it's actually about their own discomfort. They're uncomfortable with somebody else's pain. So to get away from their discomfort, they're attempting to find a silver lining that the person isn't ready for and may not be ever, but certainly isn't at this point. They need support. They don't need you to try to make yourself feel better because you're uncomfortable with their pain. It's not about you. And while it is generally meant to be encouraging, at least that at least statement is really forced positivity, toxic positivity. In moments of pain or crisis, people generally need understanding and support more than attempts to force them to brighten their outlook. When they're ready, when they get to that point, dealing with their pain, dealing with their grief, then when they're ready, they can work on reframing things and looking at things differently. But when they need your support, they need your support. In their moments of pain, they need support, not attempts to force positivity on them. So instead of using at least, it's better to acknowledge the person's feelings, offer genuine empathy, and provide support without trying to minimize or reframe their experience. For those of you who are not childless and listening to try to figure out how do I help someone who matters to me who is childless, and for those of you within the Childless Not by Choice community, speaking to each other, when you're offering support to someone, use language that validates their feelings and demonstrates your willingness to help and be there for them. So here's a few ways. Acknowledge their feelings with something like, I hear you and I understand this is difficult for you. Or I can see how challenging this situation is for you. Let them know you're present for them with, I'm here for you, whatever you need, or I'm available if you want to talk more or need anything. Or how about offering more specific help or asking, is there anything else, anything I can do to make things easier for you right now? How can I support you? What specifically can I do? Don't assume that you know what somebody else wants or needs to help them. So ask them, what specifically can I do? They may not know at the moment, but show that you are open to being supportive and not jumping to the, let me try to force some positivity on you. If you want to show empathy, how about, I may not fully understand, but I want to listen and support you. Or, I'm sorry you're going through this. It must be very stressful. Remember, the key is to be genuine. Listen actively. Don't listen to reply. Listen to hear them. And tailor your support to what the person needs. Sometimes just being present and listening without judgment can be the most powerful form of support. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Childless and Moving Onward, and I will be back with you next week. I appreciate you listening. If you liked this episode, help get the word out to others who are looking for this same help by giving it a 5-star rating, and please take 2 minutes to leave a meaningful review. It's easy to do. Just scroll down to the ratings and review section and tap on the stars to rate the show and tap on write a review. I greatly appreciate it, and you'll be helping others out too. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.